Wait, what? Teofimo Lopez, the takeover? He's reluctant to go on pay-per-view? No. It's crazy though, right? Because when I say the same thing, I'm called a hater.
You dumbass.
Well, apparently his own promoter, Bob Arum, he's a hater too, because he's saying the same shit.
If I tell you I'm good, probably you'll say I'm boasting. If I tell you I'm no good, you know one line.
Yo, what's good, Boxer Talk family? It's your boy, Dr. Boxer Talk, back for another YouTube video. Banger, man. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I don't know what time it is. The doctor's in the house, man. So check this out. Wait, before we get started, man. Happy New Year. This is the first year. Sorry, this is the first video of the new year 2025, man. So big salute to y'all that we made it. You know, I wish you a prosperous, productive, progressive, and peaceful new year, man. Now let's get right to the video, man. We have Teofimo Lopez. We have news coming from Bob Arum, the CEO, the head honcho, you know what I'm saying? Big bad Bob, you know what I'm talking about? Big Bob father, you know, on Top Rank. He's saying, hey, man, you know, if this fight between Subriel Matias and Teofimo Lopez, which is not finalized yet, you know, we just reported it, that it's being heavily negotiated and in talks for March 15th. If this fight comes into fruition, that he's a little reluctant to put it on pay-per-view, you know? And he says, and I quote, "I'm not so enamored with pay-per-view. So few people buy them now." Now, first off, he has a good point. But before that, I'm gonna call bullshit. And the reason why I call it BS is not because, like I said, he definitely has a good point. What he's saying is valid. However, he's saying it like it's isolated to Teofimo Lopez. No, this is something that impacts all boxers. You know what I'm saying? He's not the first person to be impacted by piracy. Piracy wasn't suddenly invented when Teofimo Lopez versus Subriel Matias was made. So my point is that if Teofimo Lopez, who calls himself a big star, the A side of every deal that he's in, and he always compares himself to his contemporaries, right? Well, your contemporaries that you compare yourself to frequently, right? Let's say Gervonta Tank Davis. He would be on pay-per-view, especially against Subriel Matias.
Yeah.
Ryan Garcia, he would be on pay-per-view against Subriel Matias.
We do not let people who are on the juice discuss real athletes. That's all.
Devin Haney would be on pay-per-view going against Subriel Matias. Yeah. Hell, even Shakur Stevenson would be on pay-per-view going against Subriel Matias. Yeah. So my point is that if you're going to make these comparisons and call yourself the takeover and self-proclaim the A side and the big man, then it looks like what your promoter is saying that you're not in that position, homeboy. He's literally contradicted you in your position of stardom. You know, it's not coming from me, it's coming from Bob Arum. You know, I mean, even though I've also said the same thing too, and been called a hater. So I guess me and Bob Arum are both haters. You know what I'm saying, and not just being realistic. You know, realistically speaking, you know, Teofimo's last run has not been that great. He had a terrible showing against Jermaine Ortiz in February 2024, and then his fight against Steve Claggett. You know what I'm saying, if you go around the mall and say, do you ask a random person who is Steve Claggett, they're gonna say,
who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that? You know damn well who I am. Who the fuck is that?
And rightfully so, because he's relatively unknown. Shout out to Steve Claggett. Now, in addition to that, you know, with Teofimo not being on the best run, you know, and not having, let's see how I can say it, he doesn't have a firm grasp on stardom, right? You know what I'm saying? And even his perception of his own stardom, you know, he doesn't have a firm grasp on that, you know, with the people or with himself, you know. Then you also got to look at his opponent. And unfortunately, Subriel Matias has come off a loss himself against Liam Paul when Liam Paul went in his backyard and he removed that belt from around his waist, right? So now Subriel Matias lost his status as a champion and he lost his aura of the boogeyman, you know what I'm saying? Now, since then, he came back and he fought and beat a decent fighter in Roberto Ramirez, you know, but for a lot of people, that's still not good enough to demand a pay-per-view position. But like I said, even with that, still, Subriel Matias is a big enough name and a recognizable name to where if he was fighting Teofimo's contemporaries in Tank, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, and Shakur Stevenson, I firmly believe that that would be a pay-per-view worthy fight. It's just that Teofimo Lopez is lacking that pay-per-view appeal. So that's just my opinion. Apparently that's Bob Arum's opinion as well. And yeah, but all in all, I think this is great news, because yes, I think that if you are a boxing purist, a pugilist enthusiast like myself, then you recognize this fight as being great. And I said that before, I still think this is a great fight, you know what I'm saying? And I applaud Teofimo Lopez and Subriel Matias for taking this fight, you know, regardless of whether I like Teofimo Lopez or not. You know, he's been more he's been more in the headlines, gaining more headlines and more popularity from the disgusting things that he's been saying, the disparaging remarks that he's been making against certain ethnicities and people, than he has from his performance in the ring. You know what I'm saying? So I think that he has limited a limited claim to want to be on pay-per-view or even desire that, you know what I'm saying? And Bob Arum recognizes that. So, you know, I'm right on track with this. But like I said, even still, this is a great fight, and I would consider paying for it. But that me and other purists don't reflect the masses. I don't think that this is an appealing matchup for the masses. Now, if Teofimo wins in decisive fashion, or hell, even if Subriel Matias wins in decisive fashion, then moving forward, they could probably establish their pay-per-view, their rights to a pay-per-view, or their claims to a pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? But right now, the evidence, I don't think would reinforce, would support a pay-per-view showing, or even reinforce the fact that he could even be on pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? So y'all let me know what y'all think about that, man. Like I said, I think this is good news, the fact that it's on ESPN. I think it's an eye-opener as well for those Teofimo fans who are delusional and think that he's a pay-per-view star. Bob Arum doesn't even think so. So y'all let me know what y'all think about that in the comments. Don't forget to smack that like button. But most importantly, remember, with God, we can do anything. Without God, we're nothing. The doctor's out. Peace. Happy New Year again. From the hood to college, both worlds they had to meet. 6 degrees between us, so cold, we're about to freeze. But we're Florida boys, hot takes, we bring the heat. We're moving the culture, the engineers to the streets.